we should really take a look at the leaderboard first of all before we discuss what happened in Game 7, because there were huge implications. Vico, Veno, and Flixie White, our leaderboard toppers, walked Malabuka and Ping at Lone Wolf Lair to start off the game, and then they went and took the victory royale, which means there's just 17 points separating these teams now. There's two questions. The first one being for you, Mini Miner. What does this mean for Mali's team? Do you think that they're going to have a bit of a mental block? They're going to have the shadow of Veno on their backs going forward?
Yeah, I mean, they have to, right? They have to give them a bit of a wobble. They've now just sat in lobby for 25 minutes, having to think through what they need to do next. That's definitely thrown a spanner in the works for them. The big question is now what's going to happen next game, I think, as well. You know, are Vico, Ven, and Flixie actually going to go ahead and do that? Are they going to play those mind games? I don't know. I don't know what I would do in this situation, but they seem to have it on lock.
This is the beauty of Fortnite, right? Because after yesterday, everyone's going 100-point gap after day one is crazy, right? And just like that,
Yo, hello.
it's all changed.
Hi.
Right? 17
Yo, are you
points,
watching
nothing
it?
now going on for the
Yeah.
next 5 games, so close. I don't know what they're gonna do. I mean, do you just keep going there because it works so well in that
Where you
game?
at?
I feel like we just can't predict what Veno, Vico, Flixie will do
The
because
top.
they've just been so unpredictable.
Yeah, I found
all
you.
weekend
Sit in
long,
seat.
including
Hi.
that game.
Sit in my seat.
Whatever they do, I know they've cooked
Wait,
up
no, not
something.
these seats. Come.
That's the reality of it. We can trust that whatever they choose to do will be effective.
Well, we've got 5 more courses to taste as the day continues, but let's talk about
Sit down.
Banyak, Pixie, and Marius. Vanya in particular was making
You watching?
hero plays to try and
Yeah.
cross inside the top 10. I think
Cool.
he managed 12 in that last game, but it's still a blistering start for these guys, Levin.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at these guys, and again, they were a team
What
that
a
I feel
shot.
like just goes under the radar. It's just a very, very good team here in EU. I remember back in the day when Vanya used to play and compete in EU in duos, you know, he was always a top talented player. And we were always like, if he could get some tier 1 teammates with him, he's gonna shine. And obviously he played with Swizzy, finally picked up an FNCS win. And in this team, he's got Marius and Pixie with him. Marius very unfortunate there to get taken down by Mustache. But you know, when you have Marius and Pixie alongside, you know, a player like Vanya, you know, they're always destined for great things. How he survived here, Mini, was mental. I thought he was 100% going down, and he just managed to just stay alive, clutch out some extra placement points.
Yeah, we spoke about it a lot last major as well with Queasy, Swizzy, and Mustache about how these important solo clutches can have a big impact because these guys now need to keep up with the top end of the leaderboard if they want any chance of winning this FNCS. So those sort of performances are so important, especially now if Vico, Ven, and Flixie are going to be landing in different places. Maybe they're going to continue landing on Malabuka. That could swing either way, so they need to keep in that top 3.
Tayson, Chris, and Chicho, we didn't get to see much of a big performance from them yesterday. However, their fortunes did start to improve over the first 6 games, and now I feel like we've seen the best from them yet after they've switched their drop spot to Kappa Kappa Mini Miner.
Yeah, well, they switched their drop spot midway through yesterday. They found a lot of success now there at Kappa Kappa. I think they were uncontested in that game as well, Evan. So a lot, it seems to be going their way right now. And this is the sort of performance that we expect to see from a team like Tayson, Chicho, and Haris. We know how good Chicho and Haris are. We know how good Tayson can be in these high-pressure situations. We just didn't get to see it for half of yesterday. And now they're sneakily coming up into that top 8. Could they be a Globals qualification? We'll have to see.
If they keep this up, absolutely. Their form since switching to Kappa has been so strong. It sometimes feels wrong, like talking about competitive Fortnite EU, like the top level of it, not mentioning Tayson. So I'm glad to see their team picking up a bit of form, and maybe they will push their way in and call for globals.
This is what we want to see, guys. A hotly contested day 2. So let's head to game 8 now with Taco and Takata.
Thank you, Frankie. Look, to set the stage, there was a 142-point difference from Veno's trio and Malabuka's trio going into game 1 today. Now there's just a 17-point difference after 1 match. The issue is, Taco, if they keep contesting each other, it might go back and forth.
It could go back and forth, but if we play back the flashbacks from the DIP finals in week 5, that's something that I think Veno is more than willing to stake and wait and like try to, you know, take his chances with in comparison to Malabuka's team. But they had that entire match to sit out, right? So surely they're thinking about if they get contested again off spawn, how are we going to actually tackle that fight?
Yeah, I mean, this might be a minor factor too, but if you get elimed off spawn, you got like 23 minutes, what, maybe you're in creative doing 1v1 something. Vico, Veno, Flixi just got like a 15 elim win. I mean, that's gonna boost up your confidence, boost up your energy, and I didn't see Vico missing any shots, so I mean, they're gonna be going in on fire for this off-spawn engagement. Once again, if that's what they decide to do, right? We saw them switch things up, but to be honest, I think it's what's gonna happen. We don't have to wait long. The 8th game is ready to go.
It's just gotta be one of those stomach drop sensations, though, if you are Malibuca, Ping, and Wox, because everybody is such a fierce competitor, right? But when you are just watching the team that wiped you, knowing that this is probably the only team in this lobby that can truly threaten your current claim for that first place position on the leaderboard, and then you see them win, not just clear you out of your spot, but win the game. It is such a huge statement from Veno's team, and we're gonna have a repeat circumstance here, Takada. Veno, Flixi, Vico, they are here again at Lone Wolf. They are not letting up, and Malibuca, Wox, and Ping, they're gonna have to formulate some kind of a response because they can't afford to watch these guys play out a fresh match without them.
Looking at drops, Flixi lands first. Vico, Veno, they've claimed the high ground position here at Lone Wolf. They have that positional advantage. Will they be able to take this fight fast enough? Will they get enough shields? There's so many factors to these early game engagements. But ultimately, if you put in the work, if you put in the prep, if you hit your shots, it looks like both trios right now are going to be quite even on shield. It's all up to who can make the better play.
Oh no. Oh no, that was almost disastrous for Vico, but Malibuca just gonna get the shots off in time. So Vico's going to survive. Malibuca now dropping. Wanted to challenge some of these lower floors. Wox, but it's Ping knocked yet again. Malibuca's team taking the first casualty here. And Wox, Malibuca, they've got to go on a recovery tour now. Vico, total control of the high ground. Even if Malibuca and Wox try to escape the mansion, they're gonna have to deal with Vico. But Flixi, him having been eliminated now means that this is a clean 2 versus 2. Wox trying to deal with Vico and Veno at the same time. Probably way too much pressure. So he'll try to create a little bit of space. Vico and Veno still hunting though. But Wox, he just wants to play the quiet game.
I wonder if any of the trios kind of, you know, north of Lone Wolf or in the surrounding areas are going to think, is this a good time to, you know, like maybe third party these trios? Is it a option? How long are these fights going to take? It's all about looking at the elimination feed, seeing how it plays out. But if you looked right now, you know that both teams have lost a player. And right now, it looks like Vico, Veno actually don't have the superior position. They're going to farm match. They're doing what they can, but might even potentially try and bring back Flixi. Even if they do so, will they get beamed out the sky? It's kind of forcing them to drop down and be on even ground here, as they were trying to do whatever possible to stop this, but I think they're gonna get it.
Veno's holding. They don't have the materials to jump in and challenge it, even with Flixi getting knocked. He's fully covered. That's why Vico was tarping out in the first place. He tunneled out a safety net for when Flixi landed. Obviously, they want to go for the double revive, but Malibuca, Wox, they can't afford to waste any more time. They're trying to close in. It's still a 2 versus 2 scenario. Veno nearly getting the better end of Malibuca there, but Vico down to his final build. Vico's just going for the immediate battle, and he wins it out. Wox cannot stop him. Malibuca also about to join his teammate. Another clear wipe. Veno and Flixi are just waiting. Flixi watching his teammates essentially clutch this one up. Malibuca, though, finally shutting down Vico. I would not believe it had we not just seen it, Takada, but Vico doesn't actually win. I thought this was all said and done. Veno now has to ensure that he takes out Malibuca. They need to play for the reboots. And Malibuca doesn't have an opportunity just yet to use these shield potions. But he's trying to dodge around, even taking the launch pad. He's got a little bit of help indirectly. And Veno falling there, but he's still chasing Malibuca. These guys refusing to budge. but they've spent entirely too long. It is catastrophe now for both of our leading teams.
No. Not even a single trio comes out winning in this situation. The fight took too long. The players in the surrounding area, like I was mentioning, they saw on the Elim feed that these teams were going back and forth. It wasn't a quick wipe. It's the perfect third-party opportunity. It wasn't just one trio. It was two different trios that realized this. What a tragic fall for both Veno and Malabuka's trio. Scroll, iDrop, and Sky now gonna try and fight the other third-partying trio. Grippe trying to do what he can to stay up, but Scroll going right into the box. He's got that Gold Rush effect, phasing his way in, but no knocks connecting yet. As the longer these trios take, the more risky the situation is gonna get.
This might have just bailed out Malabuka entirely, though. Didn't actually see him getting cleaned up in the same fashion as Veno there towards the end, so he might have even scurried off elsewhere, might be able to play for a reboot later on. Definitely worst case scenario for Veno, but high risk, high reward is definitely seeming to be the name of the game as far as those two teams are concerned. iDrop, Scroll, and Sky, though, they need to just establish Surge the same way that they've been doing. They love fighting all throughout yesterday. That was how they primarily established their Surge, and seems to maintain their intention here.
There's a few things to think about. One, Malabuka's still up, so there's potential for a reboot later on. The other is that first and second place, so Malabuka and Veno, are, you know, only a difference of 17 points, but second and third is a difference of 64 points. So if Malabuka goes down here, that's a huge opportunity from second or third, to seventh, eighth, even just the top 10 in general, to close that gap between first and second. And these are two trios that can make it happen.
Close call there for Glubshy. Nearly found himself eating a tag that was going to be a big problem. Fortunately, it didn't go through. I like this, though, from Sky. Just maintaining the high ground position. Also, making sure to look out, see whether or not teams are trying to join the mix-up that's taking place here at Lone Wolf. But Sky, Scroll, iDrop, they might have gotten the damage that they were after. Whether or not they continue to re-engage is a separate conversation, but Malabuka still lingering the bottom end of Lone Wolf Lair, and it's probably going to be very difficult for him to actually work his way out of this POI, since he knows that there is a team controlling the high ground. You just get so much view from where Sky and Scroll were last seen that Malabuka doesn't have any other options but to just hide. Hope that these teams are able to clear out, and then they can try to make a play.
Yeah, it's a matter of time here. You know, do they wait for the Lone Wolf to go in zone, go there, even go into zone to find something? While that plays out, though, we'll look over at Ferdoxy, Chino, and Pablo. Double chugs, hopeful height battle. Dexy, Artist, and Huddy. This is the trio that I believe originally was going to contest Tayson today. But it looks like they're up against Fred, and it's not quite going their way as Artist gets knocked. Now with 3v2.
Some of these teams just getting so disoriented in the mix-ups. But Pablo finds a clean shot onto Dexy. Just another elimination. So many elims, even for Ferdoxy's team, already at 6. They are clearly trying to avoid having to deal with any sort of surge woes later on. Surely this is enough damage to carry them through their mid-game rotates.
Surely, right?
Surely.
Seeing what Malabuka decided to do, it seems like, yeah, Lone Wolf still has two trios there, so he's like, you know what? I'm out of here. I'll find another reboot.
Oh, no.
But, I mean, there are some trios close by. I'm wondering if he even has all the cards, if he's going to go for the gold route. A lot of options, but the issue is, you know, in this meta, the odds of having trios inside of the Storm is significantly higher. I mean, even comparing it to last season, there was a 68% increase with the amount of time spent in the Storm. So you really do have to be careful when you're rotating through here. You're never safe, but we'll see if Malabuka can make something happen.
Definitely not going to be an easy endeavor. A couple other teams, though. Kudo just stuck. Nowhere left to run. Misha's team finding that elimination leads me to believe that something has gone horribly wrong for Pink and Nebs, considering that they weren't with him. Sure enough, leaderboard top right going to reveal it. Pink, Nebs, Kiro are currently 5th place team, having been freshly eliminated. Now means that other teams can try to leapfrog their way into that position instead. Queasy, Swizzy, and Mustache, though, they're just focused on their own methods of success.
Good news is they still have Seaport on con. You know, they don't have a Vico Veno Flixie camp in their vault this time around, so a little less pressure in that sense. Can play more what they have been used to playing throughout the season. And hey, looks like Malabuka got, you know, step 1 of 5 complete, right? He brought his teammates back into the match, but now not only do they have to recuperate their shield, their mats, their loot, they're probably gonna have to get a bit of damage. Malabuka already had those eliminations, but even so, having to rotate from Outlaw, you know, the job's not finished.
They're definitely going to have to spend some time looking to build back up from their starting point. And yeah, it's always going to be difficult, but when you play for the reboot, you're also letting everybody else in the area know, including teams that may be struggling for Surge along the way. And Malabuka just trying to get out as quickly as possible. Walks looking for whatever whites he can find. They are just so split currently.
What I don't like here is if the opposing trio chooses to take that geyser and find, you know, one of the players caught off guard. If they see Walks in the shoreline, all 3 of them land on him. You know, there's quite a risk there, but saw a little bit of what happened to Demon's Dojo. Vanya, Marius, and Pixie, this could be a big game for them. They're the closest to 2nd place, sitting in 3rd. So Vico's already gone. If Malabuka doesn't make out a zone here, this is the trio that has a big opportunity to make it in. Actually, with the current points, including, you know, this match, 4th place alongside Pablo, Fredoxy, and Shino there. So they're both really close.
They're not looking to have a repeat of what went down, though, in Major 1. They want to be the ones in control of the leaderboard, Takada.
Decently, you know, solid game, even just make it the end game, that actually won't be too bad at all. At least they can continue to kind of increase that gap, but we'll see. For the trios inside a zone, Kami said Haru didn't have that challenge in the early game. They're positioned up quite well to kind of pick off these teams rotating on in. We'll see where this next zone does end up pulling, but I mean, so far pretty chill.
They can take a few extra ticks of storm if needed. We're also hanging around that edge line of Seaport, so teams that are having to deal with maybe rotating over the water with Seti and Cammy's position. We've got that leverage of holding down the bridge. Thomas on the island with that mythic drum gun. End up eating a tag.
Those tags, when they're
Not if you're
running around
Thomas.
building that far away in a major finals lobby with the amount of players that are up, you know, those aren't easy shots, but I mean, it's Thomas HD. Malibuca walks though. This is what they need. They need to find a surprise. They need to find a refresh. Malibuca hits the initial shot. Duts get a knock. He doesn't even go down. This could be it, Taco.
This could be huge for Malibuca, but first they've got to close it out for next team though. Completely sabotage from where we're currently looking, and Dinas will be fully wiped. Just camping the launch pad. A bit diabolical by Malibuca, but desperate times call for desperate measures, and you have to respect the strategy here. They had to do something to come up with a little bit of a win after what took place in the early.
You said diabolical. That's the perfect play. I mean, if you're thinking of odds of where trios are going to end up, a launch pad in a location like this for common rotations is the perfect spot. And not only did not a single player get knocked, they were able to get multiple finishes. I mean, this is exactly what we wanted to see from Malibuca's trio. They are somehow managing to slowly but surely turn this game around. I drop Sky and Scroll on the other hand, still below.
Just trying to make sure that Fnaim, Moneymaker, Faded don't actually try to focus in on where they're currently seated. A little bit lower down. They're gonna work their way into this next edge of zone though. Costing them a lot of mats though. They're probably hoping for better tags, but Hydra from out of nowhere, completely out of left field even, just gets knocked. Zara, Zangi, and Peterbor have closed into their current position. Double revive will be enough to get iDrop back into the action, but they're still 5 below. Time is ticking, and the clock is working against them. Scroll trying to make up for the lost minutes. They want a little bit more damage, but they've got to spend time instead healing. And Sky gonna pay the ultimate price here. He wanted to see if he could get that little bit of extra surge for his teammates, but instead, a 1 versus 3, just too aggressive. And he'll be punished for it. Zara and Zangi, likely another team that was also incredibly low on their surge, but now Scroll, iDrop, they don't get a chance to think about it. They're gonna try to get some shots off, but with the armored van, it's gonna be very difficult, and Scroll still has to deal with all the teams ahead of him at Kappa Kappa.
And they have to, yeah, make that rotation, right? Hey, at least we didn't get a full north zone. I mean, we're east here, but it's about mid-map, so not too bad, not too bad. Malibuca walks ping in the zone finally. 5 elims on the board now, and despite getting those eliminations, still only 55 above. But this is honestly more than they could even ask for with the amount of materials and loot that they have. Now it's just about keeping it up. They might not get the best zone position. They might not have a bunch of extra loot, but at least they are in the game.
Might have to use that Memmis grenade sooner rather than later, though. But Walks trying to hold on to it, trying to see if he can punish Peterbor's team. We saw them spend a couple of moments tangling with iDrops because they needed that surge damage. But Walks now gonna nestle Malibuca's team at just 124 above. They still need to find some form of an elimination refresh. They want the elims, and they are punishing these teams that were just slower to the rotate than themselves. Great elimination, though. That's definitely going to build up a little bit of a buffer zone here. Juicy, Andy, and Fincheck, though, look like they want to try and get involved. And consider that they're further ahead than Malibuca's team, they might be able to actually punish them once Malibuca's team leaves this boxed up position.
Yeah, they have a lot of builds in front of them, so, you know, normally if you want to try and go on congested side, sometimes it's not possible. They're gonna have to follow through the builds that are already placed and do what they can to make it in, despite there being a lot of trios there already. But for Merstash, Queasy and Swizzy, they are quite low, kind of under the bridge almost, but at least they're safe here.
Depending on how this next zone pulls, it might actually work to their advantage. Because then they could just look to layer swap and play on top of the bridge. Compared to where other teams might get stuck on the other side of the waterway. Still, so many teams starting to really pile up here. Opal, Panzer, and Thomas making the most of this hill face though. But they want to get a move on. A little bit short on that bat rotate. But it gets the job done. Thomas and Panzer, Opal. They've got a little bit of damage above the threshold, but they definitely need some more.
Malabuk has been knocked though. Walks has been fully eliminated. Both players down. As Ping is left as a solo now with all the pressure on him. 91 above. I mean, they were able to get a bit of eliminations, a slight amount of placement. But I mean, they've still got good materials. Well, Ping still got good materials. The only issue is with multiple trios focusing you, you gotta either get close to another trio and, you know, make them get shots taken on them as well, or just hope you get people to stop shooting at you. But
he's so obviously a solo. They are going to keep shooting at this man. They do not want to let an individual survive these circumstances. Does spot a little bit of loot though. That might be slight saving grace. Swizzy, Queasy, and Merstash though have seemingly postured up above the bridge now. They took their opportunity to get that overhead space. And this is very familiar territory for them, considering that they land at Seaport City, Shining Span right next door. Committing a lot of materials here. Making sure that they can just have a huge metal lining to peek out from.
This is going to be an impressive rotate if he pulls this one off. I mean, he's got to swim. There's a lot of trios in front of him. If he can catch a player off guard, could be a massive refresh, but he's not able to connect the crucial shots. And Thomas HD with the drum gun is going to be able to take him out.
But Thomas was so split from where Panzer and Uppel are at that Uppel doesn't have the same luck as Thomas. He has been knocked very soon to be eliminated if a team can't get the job done. But Thomas, he's not going to be able to jump forward any further. This water zone is just so vicious. So many teams having to commit so much material. They just don't have the time to think about where they're headed next. They're just trying to get into the safety of the zone itself. Panzer might be able to build up a couple of placements here.
For the players on the edge here, it's the perfect opportunity to just kind of rain down from above on all the solos, trios that are trying to make their way in. And it's going to be Cammy, Seti, and Hari who successfully have taken that high ground. This is prime positioning for them. It wouldn't even matter to them if it pulled back. It would be honestly perfect with the builds already placed and how difficult it would make it for the trios down below. There's only 9 trios left in this match. Devastating zone.
Queasy's team, though, is still kind of hovering that secondary height position. Prodoxy, Pablo, Chino, they'll tank a little bit of storm damage if it means getting into more optimal position. Pixie and Vanya, though, make that just Pixie because Vanya has been knocked. Pixie now watching in horror. Can't do anything for his teammates. He might not even be able to save himself once he's quick. The reaction times, but Jewel, Sangil, Tidy, they've got the advantage. And Pixie, he'll be forced to just play inside the storm, hope that this Chug Jug can get him a couple of additional placement spots. But it is a steep rotation, and as a solo, somebody is bound to notice him. He could look for a big pump shot, but it would take a lot of guts for him to pull it off, and Height has already noticed. But he sees the knock body. He wants to go for the 1v1, but he won't get that opportunity. Comeback falling directly next to him. Everybody getting cleared up.
said we messed up. The zone didn't go north this game, so we got to make every single moving zone just keep going more north. For Doxy, Chino, Pablo, they're able to knock down one. Big refresh to allow them to continue on forwards. Cammy, Seti, Hari starting to drop down a little bit here. They could be running low on materials and potentially looking for a refresh, but every trio, every player down below on minimal materials, so little to work with. It's going to be all-out chaos.
Mustache completely ran out of mats. Hari, Cammy, Seti, they might have height control, but the zone, it's pulling back up the hill face slightly, and Queasy's team, they committed to the low. Queasy's team now stuck, and they're gonna be collected victims of where this RNG is working against them. But for Doxy, Chino, Pablo, they might have something to say. They might be able to steal this one away from Seti, Cammy, and Hari. And for Doxy, just narrowly peeking out. Pablo doesn't have any builds left though. They're gonna have to fight their way through this one. Darm, Pix, completely cut off from each other, and that's gonna be another elimination added on for Pablo, Chino, and Frodoxy. They are making it work. Despite not having any mats to build with Takada, they are still clearing out this low front side. And Pablo, Frodoxy, Chino, they know we've just got to stay as close to each other as possible. There aren't that many players remaining. They can deal with Pix and Demus. It could be the difference maker here. Pix will be collected, but Chino, having been eliminated, now makes it a little easier for Seti, Gami. They could maybe make something big happen here, but Pablo is scrambling. Just so much pressure coming in from above. Cammy, Hari, Seti, they know that there is only two players standing in the way of them in this next Victory Royale, and they are hunting for Doxy and Pablo down. The advantages are just so steeply in their favor. They've got the high ground. Frodoxy and Pablo surely completely out of materials, just clinging on to whatever HP they have left. But Seti, he'll be the first to fall. He's gonna play Disruptor. Cammy, Hari, now going for the backup, but Frodoxy, he might have done enough, but no! Cammy falls, and Hari's not gonna be able to do it! Pablo is gonna be the one to seal the deal here! Frodoxy's team had zero business winning this one out, and yet Pablo making sure the job gets done.
How do they let that happen? How do they let that happen, Taco? The 2v3, not only that, you said they gotta be running low on materials. Cammy, Seti, Hari, we're also running low, forced to drop down.
Crazy. That's crazy.
So